Do I know what I'm doing? Who let this guy in here? Do you know what I'm doing?
I don't know.
Nobody knows what I'm doing.
Does Mike know what I'm doing? Can Mike hear me?
I think Mike can hear you.
Okay, groovy.
Perhaps he can't. We'll have to ask him again later.
Okay.
This is Free Talk Live. It's the old graybeard edition on Monday night. I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me it's...
Nobody.
And we're here, and this is where we are.
It's true.
If we weren't here,
we'd be somewhere else.
We'd be somewhere else. That's right. Just by logic, right? If we weren't here, we'd be somewhere else.
Pretty much, unless we were nowhere.
Well, right. If we were nowhere, then we'd be Schrodinger's hosts. Right? We're only here if we're observed.
Nobody can be nowhere.
Nobody can be nowhere. It's true. This is Free Talk Live. If you want to join the conversation, you may dial 603-283-6160. Again, the number is 603-283-6160. Operators are standing by. Actually, that's not true. It's kind of an automated system that is standing by for your call. So if you'd like to join the conversation, what are we going to talk about tonight, nobody? Well, I brought in some stuff for show prep, as I normally do. And here's just a few of the things that are on the list. COVID test center torched.
Yay!
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to say that one. COVID test center torched. There's a lot of sibilance going on in that one.
It's true. It's true.
But
a lot of sibilant rivalry.
It turns out that over there in Holland, on the first day of the newly imposed curfew, that protesters torched a COVID test center.
All right.
I thought that'd be fun.
Nice.
Also from the left coast, the great Northwest, if you will, which is a beautiful area of the country. If you ever get out there, it is gorgeous when it's nice. Apparently, there was some sort of a thing going on. Some police were called to a scene, and a crowd sort of gathered round the police car. Perhaps they were, I don't know, hitting their fists upon the car, that type of a thing. So the officer in said car, mind you, the car is surrounded, decided to just gun it and plow through the crowd. Running over at least one person. You could tell that like a bunch of people, it was kind of like the parting of the Red Sea. There's a video on this particular article. And so, the cop gunned it and everybody just sort of, mysteriously moved out of the way. But whoever was in front of the car, a couple people were injured, went to the hospital, that type of thing. And at least one person was run over. It doesn't appear as if anybody died, ironically. But we can talk more about that as well.
It doesn't appear as if any of them died ironically, or ironically, it doesn't appear that any of them died.
It doesn't appear as if any of them died, ironically.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How is...
Get a good one, man. Get a good one.
Wow.
It's good stuff, man.
That air. Oh, jeez.
That
jeez
air.
Louise.
That air is really good.
Oh.
I haven't had air like that since back in the day, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was just choking on the
sweet air of freedom.
It could be that, or I don't know. I don't know if it was the right use of ironic. Was it ironic that they didn't die?
Yeah.
Or
I rarely use the word ironically in its appropriate sense. Ironically.
Oh, isn't that ironic? Don't you think?
What's
a little too
what's
ironic? Yes, I really do think.
Coincidentally, okay.
Coincidentally,
it's not ironic.
Okay.
Yes. Or ironically, it's not coincidental. I'm not sure which one we're in right now.
It could be. It could be.
Going on, California, apparently. Surprise, Biden's in office now, so why not? They lifted their statewide curfew and stay-at-home order.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weird. Weird how, Biden gets into office and all of a sudden people are like, we're all healthy now.
We'll have to put that in our list of home remedies for disease. You can cure disease by electing child molesters. Who knew?
Yes.
Nobody knew that.
Did nobody know or nobody didn't know?
Nobody didn't know.
I wonder if we should have a host named Who.
A host named who?
Yeah. Ginger named
Well,
who.
we've got 3 stations. Would we want to put them on first?
What's on second?
I don't know. Third base.
I was just thinking for all the times we say, I don't know who. You know, like, who knows? Who does know?
Well, that was actually my plan. Nobody's done it yet, but my plan was if I was talking to a reporter and saying ambiguous things, and they just kept pushing for, do you mean this or do you mean that? Do you mean this or do you mean that? My final get out of this response was, I don't know, third base.
You are a crafty gentleman, sir.
It's a sick world, and I'm a happy guy. Take a tip from your Uncle Rich.
And then also I brought in a bit, apparently we were talking before the show started tonight about Tulsi Gabbard and her views on things.
She's adorable.
She is an attractive woman. There is some legislation being proposed, something along the lines of a domestic terrorism act, something along that phraseology for the name of the thing. According to Tulsi Gabbard, this particular domestic terrorism act bill would have half of the country be terrorists.
See, she's not a real Democrat because she says that like it's a bad thing. And every Democrat knows that all Republicans are terrorists, and every real Republican knows that all Democrats are terrorists.
Well, we know that government is a terrorist because it meets the definition.
Yeah.
Particularly a domestic terrorist.
So you're a real libertarian because you know they're both a bunch of terrorists.
Which makes them want to label me a terrorist as well, because they do include libertarians in their list of things. White supremacists. I don't even
why do
remember
they lump us in with that? Can't we be our own kind of terrorists? Do we have to be lumped into right-wing terrorists? Because I don't feel right-wing, and I never have.
No, I'm not right-wing either. And in fact, I spend a lot of my time making sure I'm equally upsetting to both the left and the right.
Yes. I mean, sometimes it takes work,
Yeah,
but they are snowflakes on both sides.
Every now and again,
you can definitely make them cry if you work at it.
Every now and again, someone will be like, "Hey, you leaned a little bit left on last night's show," and so the next time I do a show, I'll try and make up for it by I don't know, saying something right wing.
Yeah, see, I don't mind leaning a little left one way or a little right one way or the other for a night, but I don't want to be mistaken for either of these camps, because both left and right is made up of people who run your life, want to run your life, and differ only in how they want to run it, whereas I'm a person, I don't want to run your life. I don't care how you do it. You can do it left, you can do it right, you can do it center, you can do it with a dolphin. I don't care. Just, don't do it with any people that object.
Yeah. I mean, again, my philosophy, and I think you share the philosophy, is do whatever you want as long as you ain't harming anybody else or their property.
Yeah. Which, it's kind of funny that actually, what's the religion that most closely matches that philosophy?
Is it Buddhism?
Wicca.
Oh, it is Wiccan. You're right, yeah.
The Wiccan read is, "And it harm none, do as thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law." So, which translated into modern English means if it doesn't hurt anybody, then the law, what you can be forced to do, is effectively nothing.
Yeah, we see this repeatedly throughout all history and all culture, right? Do unto others as you would have done unto you, that type of a thing, right? I was mentioning Saturday night, Doctor Who, the longest-running science fiction series of all time, has a saying. It is never cruel, never cowardly, and if you ever are, always make amends. It's all kind of the same thing.
Groovy.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Serpent Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live Monday night edition. Our telephone number, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And nobody.
And I've got this. I hesitate to call it an article because it's really just a blurb. There's a little bit of a video, but nothing much to write home about. But I thought it was interesting because the headline reads, "Protesters torch COVID test center in Holland on first day of curfew."
Wow.
The little blurb says, protests against coronavirus restrictions descended into violence across Holland. Is fire violence?
Well, I mean, generally burning down something that isn't yours is violence, but the suggestion there that's inaccurate is that was the beginning of the violence. The beginning of the violence was actually the threats made against people by the government if they should choose to disobey. That was the beginning of the violence. The protesters just responded to violence with violence.
Fight fire.
Pretty much, they fought fire with fire.
Literally. Protests against coronavirus restrictions descended into violence across Holland. The country's government enforced a curfew from 9 p.m. until 4:30 a.m.
And that was the moment that it descended into violence as soon as they started enforcing a curfew.
It's almost like we play, you ever play that Where's Waldo? Or do you remember Highlights, a little magazine as a kid, and they'd have the hidden pictures at the back of it or whatever? Or Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Like all this type of thing. Mm-hmm. It's almost like we as...
I think she had a thing going on with Waldo.
Oh,
that's why people...
They
were always slipping
Waldo
off.
and Carmen were an item, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they'd slip off into the closet and everybody be like, Where's Waldo? And where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Well, they were in the closet.
Hey, you can't do that in there. It's a broom closet. But we're engaged. Well, disengage and get back to work.
Nice.
I think the difference between, well, not a difference between most folks and folks who call themselves voluntarists, that's libertarians, anarchists, etc., folks who subscribe to the non-aggression principle, we're able to find the violence when it starts. We're able to identify when it starts, where it comes from, where it originates. I think it's a big difference because a lot of folks will just say, oh, those protesters are so violent.
Yeah.
And never take into consideration what you've so eloquently pointed out, and that's the origin of the violence in this particular case, as well as the case around the globe when it comes to this COVID crap and all of the government mandates and stuff like that, is that the violence starts when the government enforces something upon you.
Yeah. And for some reason, evil people seem to be good at convincing themselves and the rest of the world that evil isn't evil when they do it. You know, that it's okay to touch children if you're a priest, or it's so. And by the way, my church, if you're a kid toucher, well, the guy nailed to the wall in my church, he's not a prophet. He's the priest that was giving kids a hard time. But
you've done unto others.
Yeah, but for some reason, people manage to convince people that, oh, we're special, and if we threaten you to force you to buy our product or to force you to do what we do, what we want you to do, then it's okay. Yeah.
And they're special. They make themselves special, and they make you believe that they're special by doing a couple of very interesting things.
First thing is buying off the media so that the media acts like they're special.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the first thing. To me, I think the first thing that most folks don't notice or will have a different reaction to these type of people is if they're in some sort of a uniform.
Oh, yes, a fine hat makes a big difference.
Pay attention to the hats. They might mean something.
It's true.
Also, the shiny badge. Right, mm-hmm. Folks who have a shiny badge, they could just be wearing regular street clothes, and somebody flashes a badge. All of a sudden, people's behavior changes.
That's because they're like raccoons. They're fascinated and hypnotized by shiny things.
Ooh, a shiny thing. Oh, I should listen to this guy. I should do exactly what he tells me. I had an argument with a guy in a movie theater about his policies or whatever. It was one of these movie theaters that serves beer and alcohol while you watch a movie. And
Really?
they refused to serve me a full pitcher of beer by myself. I went to the movie. It was, Tuesday afternoon. I was trying to catch the cheap show at 6 o'clock or at
And
3
you're trying
o'clock
to
because
get
it was
the
$6.
cheap buzz.
Well, I live in walking distance from this place. This is in the Seattle area. And so anyway, the waitress refused to bring me a pitcher of beer. I'm like, I'm probably going to drink 2.5 beers while I, watch this movie. That's about what the pitcher contained, was 2.5
Sure.
16-ounce beers. And like, it would have cost me an extra $3 or something to just order 3 beers, one after the other. And, my argument was like, why should I be penalized in price? Because, the waitress actually admitted to me that she had somebody like dine and dash on her, right? So somebody ordered beer, she served him a pitcher, and they left. And I'm like, you shouldn't be penalizing me for something that somebody else did to you. And she's like, well, I'm just not going to. And I'm like, let me talk to your McManager. I talked to the McManager.
See, I would have just said, why don't I pay you in advance for the beer, and then we won't have any problem with it. I'll pay you for it right when you bring it out.
Yeah, she wasn't having any of that. She had a distinct attitude, and I wasn't going to win the argument there with her. So, I talked to the McManager. The McManager, while I was waiting for the McManager, I of course got on the magic rectangle and looked up the state law about serving, and like, there's no law that says you can't serve a person by himself an entire pitcher of beer. There is a law that says he can only have one glass. Right?
Okay.
In the state of Washington, apparently, if you're at a place that serves alcohol, you can only have one. You can't be double-fisting it, right? You can't have 2 beers to yourself. You can't have a beer and another cocktail, like, sitting in front of you, kind of a thing. They're very, very serious about this stuff. So, at any rate...
What do they think the glasses might do to you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an indication that somebody has been over-serving you if you have more than one glass in front of you, according to the law.
Can you have like a beer and a glass of water? Because, I mean, I have had that. If I had a second drink, that's what my second drink would be. I have had
that, and it wasn't a problem. So,
okay, groovy.
But my point in all this is that the McManager, said, well, she's just quoting our policy here at, unnamed movie theater. And I said, well, can you show me a copy of the policy? And he's like, no, we don't have it written down. I'm like, well, how can you have a policy if you haven't written it down? And he's like, well, we just do what the guys in the badges tell us to.
My tables, let me write it down that you can smile and be a villain.
So apparently at some point somebody in a badge convinced this guy that, he was the policy writer.
Wow.
603-283-6160. More coming up.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy. DINOVITE.com. They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it's Bad Air Drums Live. That's me doing bad air drums over here because I don't have limb independence like drummers do. And so I do a horrible job of air drumming. I'm a much better air guitarist because I play actual guitar. And so that makes my air guitaring like all the more realistic.
Yes, it would.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain, joining me.
Nobody.
It's nobody. And we were, just to finish this off, it's such a short article. I didn't even get to read the second sentence or third sentence. The country's government enforced a curfew from 9 p.m. until 4:30 a.m. to reduce the spread of the virus amid fears of the new UK variant. In Amsterdam,
so
Eindhoven...
does the virus go out more at night? Is that what it is? Is this a nocturnal virus?
It seems to be a party machine, right? A party animal.
Oh, yeah, because it's afraid of it loves to go to parties, but, it won't go to, like, riots.
Right, and apparently bars are most affected, at least according to government, because they like shutting down bars and restaurants. Mm-hmm. So any place that you might go for like, a good time, for some sort of entertainment or to gather with other people and, some sort of sense of, camaraderie and brotherhood and stuff like that.
Right.
Apparently it attacks those places more so than like Walmart, for example.
Maybe it doesn't want us to have. Maybe the virus is afraid that we'll be too united, and so it wants us not to communicate very much.
Maybe. But also in Amsterdam, Eindhoven, and other locations, demonstrators against the restrictions also clashed with the police.
Yay!
It'd be funny if, while that was happening, there was a concert that featured the Clash and the police.
It really would.
That would be ironic.
The Clash and the Police would be a great double bill. I'd go see that. Are they dead yet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So at any rate, that's sort of the end of that. I wanted to tell you also that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information. Actual cornucopia not included. Neatly organized by your needs. There is no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user already, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Visit bitcoin.com. All right, so we've heard about protesters torching the COVID test center in Holland on the first day of the curfew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder, they didn't just throw wooden shoes in it this time either, that's actually the wooden shoes, I don't know if you know this, that they wear in Holland.
Is it the Dutch? Yeah.
They're called sabot, and that is the origin of the word sabotage.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. They were throwing their wooden shoes into the gears of the machinery, apparently.
And that was sabotage.
That was sabotage.
So taj has got to be what? Stopping something or suffix or something?
Sabotage is causing something not to work.
Right. I'm just wondering
would
what
work
the taj
if
part.
You hadn't thrown your wooden shoes into it.
I once knew a gentleman who was half Dutch and half Chinese. So he was a very tall, large man, but also with a stereotypical Chinese face. Right.
Uh-huh.
And so we were talking at one point about, everybody's kind of a mutt, and so if you were a mutt, of your own heritage, kind of what would you be? And he's like, well, I'd be really good at fighting, but while wearing wooden shoes.
So he would be an expert at both combat and sabotage.
Sabotuji. So speaking of things that governments do, this from the Spokesman Review from Spokane, Washington, referencing news out of Tacoma, Washington. At least 2 injured after Tacoma police car plows through crowd of pedestrians on Saturday.
Huh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the thing is, I saw the film, and it looked like those people were surrounding a different car.
It kind of, the film, watching it the first time, I was like, once you see the car kind of, leave the crowd of people. And it was weird how the people sort of dispersed as soon as the car began moving. And by dispersed, I mean leapt out of the way in all directions, right? If they had surrounded the car.
Well, if you're quick, that's what you do.
Right. But not everybody was quick
enough,
because there was, at least in the footage contained in this article, it's pretty plain that this particular car did run over one of these pedestrians.
Oh yeah, you definitely see the rear wheel going over somebody. Yeah. I don't know how he got under there, but
I don't know how somebody's
definitely horrific, and it looked like he was going to die.
Yeah, I don't know how somebody's not dead, but apparently nobody died.
No!
Oops.
Wait, what did you say?
I misspoke.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't do that.
I meant to say.
I almost said "oh poop" and then I stopped myself.
I meant to say, what I was trying to say is something along the lines of, apparently nobody died at this darn thing, but I didn't use the word darn.
Okay, I think you can use the analog of darn on the radio, actually.
No, I used the F word.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one you can't use.
I dropped the bomb on you. Nobody.
Wow.
I dropped the bomb on you.
And I didn't even notice. Isn't that the way of it with me?
I noticed because, I've got my headphones turned up real loud so that I can hear myself.
It's a good plan.
So it's a good plan. But at any rate, this from the Associated Press, apparently, republished by the Spokesman Review. Tacoma, Washington, at least 2 people were injured when a police officer responding to a report of a street race plowed his car through a crowd of pedestrians that had gathered around him and were pounding on the car's windows in downtown Tacoma on Saturday night, officials said.
Oh, okay. I'm understanding the story better with that little bit of information.
The incident happened just before 7 p.m. as about 100 people were blocking an intersection and watching several cars spinning in circles. So this is these are people, they do things called drifting and that type of thing. These are
right.
People.
They were drifters.
Yes.
But not high plains drifters.
A police car then arrived and then drove through the crowd after people tried to block the vehicle, a witness said. Video posted on social media shows the police car hitting several people and running over at least one person. Tacoma police spokesperson Wendy Haddo told the newspaper that police were notified shortly after 6 p.m. of the street racer, so it only took them an hour to get there.
Yeah.
When seconds count, police are minutes away.
It's true.
Haddo said a responding officer used his car's bullhorn to address the crowd. The crowd then began pounding on his windows, she said. The officer, fearing for his safety. Insert traditional government excuse here.
Bang!
The officer, quote, fearing for his safety, unquote, tried to back up, but was unable to do so because of the crowd. Now, wait a minute. So we know that he gunned it and moved forward, but this story claims that he was unable to gun it and move backwards.
Well, I mean, he certainly could have moved backwards in the same way that he moved forwards. I think what they're trying to get across is that he tried to get out of there without hitting anybody by backing up and then decided to just move forward. Now, I don't know. I got to admit, I've been in that situation driving cab where people tried to block my cab in some housing projects in Ann Arbor.
Yep.
And I didn't run anybody over, but I definitely made it clear that I would if pushed, and they got out of my way.
Well, that apparently prompted him to speed out of the scene for his own safety, police said. More Free Talk Live coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Anyone can publish on the internet, but not everyone is publishing material suited for online reading. According to the Yahoo Style Guide, it cautions that internet content has a few seconds, 3 or less, to encourage people to read more, to take action, or navigate to another one of your pages. So make it easy for readers to pick and choose. Isn't that the way you poke around online? Use short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, bulleted lists, and short pages. Front-load what you write, putting the most important information at the beginning of headlines and paragraphs and sentences. Same goes for your keywords, what someone would likely type type into the search box on Yahoo or Google. For more tips on communicating better online or in a job interview or everyday life, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. The old graybeards are in the studio today. That's right. It's myself, the captain, and joining me tonight, it's...
Nobody.
And we have been talking about this article from several sources, but this one is from the Spokesman Review out of Spokane, or Spokane, Washington, if you want to mispronounce it.
Spokane?
Yeah, that's the mispronunciation. Yeah, it's Spokane when you're there.
It sounds like a shortage for a spoonful of cocaine. I just need a Spokane and I'll be fine.
Right, yeah. It could definitely be a portmanteau for that. Somebody did a bad parody song, or a good parody song, depending on your opinion, of the song Cocaine. But it's if you want to get down in the town of Spokane.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, could you pass the drugs?
At any rate, at least 2 were injured after a Tacoma police car plows through a crowd of pedestrians on Saturday. We talked about how the police were notified at 6 p.m. but didn't show up until 7.
Yeah, they were definitely in more of a hurry to leave than they were to get there.
Indeed. The officer, fearing for his safety, tried to back up, but was unable to do so because of the crowd, Tacoma police said in a statement. That prompted him to speed out of the scene for his own safety, police said. One person sustained cuts in the collision and was taken to a hospital, Haddo said. Puyallup Police Captain Dan Pashon told KCPQ-TV that a second person was treated at the hospital and released. I assume that second person was the person who actually got run over.
Yeah, that was horrific looking. It really was on the video. I just, oh, God, that didn't look good.
Not at all. City Manager Elizabeth Pauley said the officer involved will be placed on leave.
Oh, he gets a paid vacation.
That's
How
right.
nice for him.
The Pierce County Force Investigation Team, or that doesn't even spell anything. Wow, what a horrible job you've done, government. The Pierce County Force Investigation Team will handle the case, Pauley said. Interim Police Chief Mike Ake, I don't know why they have an interim police chief, but he released a statement saying that he was concerned about another use of deadly force incident and promised his department's full cooperation in the investigation. And we know how this is going to go.
They're going to investigate themselves and find that they did nothing wrong. That's what they do.
That's exactly how it's going to go.
And that's just about, and it's not probably unique to the police. I mean, if you asked the mafia to investigate themselves, I'm sure that they would find that the mafia did nothing wrong.
Right.
If you get the Republican Party or the Democratic Party to investigate themselves, any criminal organization that you ask to investigate itself
the Bloods, the
will
Crips,
probably find that it did nothing wrong.
So perhaps it's only common to criminal organizations.
Could be. Of course, if you get an organization that hasn't done anything wrong to investigate itself, it too might determine that it hasn't done anything wrong.
That's a very good point.
The unfortunate thing is it all comes out the same.
Okay, so let's say you've taken a job as a police officer in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, let's say that I haven't.
Just hypothetically. And you're called to this
Let's
scene.
say it was you, hypothetically, who did this.
Okay. The reason what I want to get at here is...
Nobody got time for that.
What's, in a libertarian society, what would the police officer have done?
Well, he would have morphed into a security guard, realized that nobody was damaging whatever property he was charged with protecting, and then he would have just pissed off. In which case the people would not have been pissed off, and thus probably wouldn't have been surrounding his car and banging on the windows. Yeah. People never do that to me because I'm not a threat to anybody.
It's interesting how, like we've been talking about, when folks are wearing a certain uniform or driving in a vehicle with certain markings on it, or that type of a thing, that a lot of the population does not realize that is a threat.
But some of the population does realize that, and I think that these people at this race were part of that population.
I believe so, too, at least in part where they were having some fun. There was a crowd of them, and this particular person threatened to end their fun.
Yeah, and you never know. Sometimes when they do that, they just randomly and casually end your life while they're at it.
It's true, particularly if they, quote, fear for their life, unquote.
And this seems to have been a fearful one. They're the most dangerous kind. The cowardly cops are the ones that shoot you.
Or run you over.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And probably choke you and throw you in a vat of acid or however else they kill civilians. There's
a vat of acid. Wow,
it could happen.
Interesting.
It happened on Rick and Morty, but it was fake acid.
Oh, I was thinking back to an old Smothers Brothers routine where the guy, it's a song, but it's called "I Fell in a Vat of Chocolate."
Oh, wow.
And it carries on, they're trying to figure out why he, how did he get to a point where he was anywhere near a vat of chocolate and how he fell in or whatever. And, that he had yelled fire when he fell in. And it was like, why would you yell fire if you fell in a vat of chocolate? And the end of the song is because I yelled fire because nobody'd save me if I just yelled chocolate.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, it reminds me of an uncle of mine who fell into a vat of beer. He worked at a brewery.
Did he try to drink his way out?
Yeah, well, apparently they tried to save him 3 times, but he fought him off.
There's a movie called Beer Fest. It's pretty old, I guess 15 years or so. And yeah, the guy catches some sort of arch enemy trying to fool around with whatever it is, they're making the perfect beer or whatever, and the guy gets pushed into a vat of beer, and he goes up to the edge of the beer and he tries to pound his way out, and he's like, no, that's not happening. He looks to his left, he looks to his right, and he just decides to start drinking his way out, and a little pool, tornado, whirlpool, forms he's like trying to drink his way out, but he's not that good of a drinker that he can drink an entire vat to free himself, and he dies in the aforementioned vat of beer.
Wow. Well, what a way to go.
Yeah. He eventually gets replaced by an identical twin brother.
Wow.
In the movie, yeah. Like probably 5 minutes later in the movie. Yeah, it's
nice. That's very handy. You should always I kind of wish there was a spare me so that I could, if I did something really stupid and died, we wouldn't have to tell my parents. We could just send in a ringer.
Duplicating yourself on demand is the way to go, because if there's just a spare you, you've got to be responsible for a whole bunch of things now. If there's an additional you, because that's 2 people to feed, 2 people to clothe, 2 people to do whatever, 2 people to make sure
frozen,
2 people to make sure you look exactly the same, so people aren't like, hey, you had a beard yesterday.
I did have a beard yesterday,
but then like tomorrow you have no beard, and you're like, did you shave? Yeah. When the day after,
that's
like,
okay. You
wow,
tell them
that,
you shaved.
That beard came back really quick. And you're like, oh yeah, I glued it on or whatever, right?
Oh yes, I fell into a vat of fertilizer is what happened.
I just stapled the old beard to my face or whatever, right?
There you go. Why did the punk rocker cross the road?
None of your business.
Because he was stapled to the chicken.
Yes.
If you knew punk rockers in high school, that's funny, because they did staple themselves to things.
It's true. It's true. All right, moving right along, let's talk about this. From the Orange County Register, California lifts coronavirus stay-at-home orders and curfew statewide.
See, I've read a lot of superstitions from various parts of the world, and never did I know in all the old wives' tales that I read that of electing a child molester president would cure an epidemic.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that in all of my years having been on Earth. I would have never been like, hey, you know what could cure this?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have been like, let's throw one in a volcano first and see what happens before we elect him president. But
I wonder when folks are going to start doing that to politicians.
Well, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
There's certainly plenty of volcanoes on the planet.
Yeah. And then you get somebody like Joe Biden. He's the lowest of the low, because it's like cop, child molester, and politician in prison. He'd be in trouble.
I think he's just biding his time until Camel Toe Harris takes over.
Oh, good Lord.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is a Fox News alert. Moving forward, I'm Lisa Lacera. A single article of impeachment of incitement of insurrection about to be delivered to the Senate, beginning the trial of former President Trump for his role in the Capitol riot.
For the second time in as many years, senators are being asked to consider convicting former President Trump following an impeachment in the House.
President Trump did not resign. He has not demonstrated remorse. He has not even acknowledged his role
in the events of January 6th.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer laid out a trial schedule, giving each side, former President Trump's lawyers and House impeachment managers, 2 weeks to file and respond to briefs. Unlike the last impeachment trial for then President Trump, Chief Justice John Roberts will play no role this year. Instead, the Senate pro tem, Vermont Democrat Pat Leahy, will preside over the trial. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden will not influence how the trial will proceed.
He will leave it up to members of the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, to determine how they will hold the former president accountable.
The president has said that Trump should be held accountable for the Capitol violence. President Biden says negotiations continue on a new round of coronavirus relief, adding as a longtime senator, he understands how the process works.
No one wants to give up on their position until there's no other alternative. They have to make a decision that they don't support what is being proposed, or they insist on what they have, or they let it all go away, fall down. I think we're far from that point right now.
Some lawmakers want the new package to be more targeted towards lower income families. The Senate's approved the nomination of former Fed Chair Janet Yellen as President Biden's Treasury Secretary, the first woman to hold the position. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Updating our top story, a single article of impeachment of incitement of insurrection has been delivered to the Senate, beginning the trial of former President Trump for his role in the Capitol riot. Another executive order signed by President Biden today that overturns a ban on transgender people serving in the military.
What I'm doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform and essentially restoring the situation that existed before with transgender personnel, if qualified in every other way, can serve our government in the United States military.
The order also prohibits any service member from being forced out of the military on the basis of gender identity. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden will keep all options on the table as it considers responses to the detention of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, as leaders in Europe also consider their options.
The European Union's foreign policy chief has said he intends to travel to Moscow in early February and will discuss the situation of jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny face-to-face there. The European Union stopped short of slapping new sanctions on Russia, but the condemnations of police brutality towards the protesters Saturday were strong, as were demands for the immediate release of Navalny and the 3,500 demonstrators who were detained. This, as Russian President Vladimir Putin denied he has anything to do with the Black Sea billion-dollar palace, Navalny says was essentially the world's biggest bribe to him.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
No, I can understand the time cue, but what I know is wiser than anything else. Like God created one day, I've created 4 simultaneous days in one rotation of Earth.
At what point did you become the wisest human, Gene Ray?
Well, I've learned everything. When you know everything, there's nothing to know.
Okay, well, now, you said you're getting ready to write a book on it. When can we expect to see it?
No, I don't have a publisher yet. A lot of morning touch it, and so...
you touch it in the morning?
Well, sometimes, not much.
Yeah. How old are you, Dr. Gene Ray?
I'm 78. Well, I told this black lady down in St. Pete, I said, when you die, you're going to come back as a white person. I said, I'm going to come back as a black person. I'm going to hate you honkies.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The NFL announces a new zero-tolerance policy on videotaped domestic violence. A puzzled nation can remember the name Ferguson, but is not sure from where. And a man wearing an M&M jacket is apparently made in God's image. This is the Onion Week in Review. Tech giant Apple unveiled a brief, fleeting moment of excitement to the general public. The short-lived, ephemeral sense of wonder was released in front of an exclusive group of reporters and industry insiders at Apple's Silicon Valley headquarters.
Apple really made us wait, but this rapidly diminishing glimmer of pleasure was totally worth it. It was 100% better than any other temporary joys I've ever experienced.
And in this week's local news, an uneasy détente forms between a man sitting on a patio and a bee. In other news, a poll finds 80% of Americans would get in a vehicle with a stranger for a chance at a new life. Bank of America introduces a new $50 underdraft fee, and the nation's huggers announce plans for you to get over here.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
Well, it actually does end.
Oh.
7 to 10 Eastern Time, 7 days a week. So in that respect, it never ends in that we're 7 days a week.
Well, if you consider LRN.FM as a single show, it never ends, because that's a 24-hour feed.
That is a truism. You are speaking you're speaking things that are true.
Nobody tells the truth.
On tonight's episode of Things That Are True. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and...
nobody.
And we've been talking about all sorts of fun things, including this bit from Tacoma, Washington, where apparently at least 2 have been injured after a Tacoma police car plows through a crowd of pedestrians. After the police were called to some folks who were spinning their tires and or racing, possibly.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Well, if they were spinning their tires an hour before when the police were called, and they were still spinning their tires an hour later when the police arrived, they were definitely up to something. That's probably a race, because, you know.
Why is it always going to be racist with you? Yes, I'm a person who likes racing. That makes you a racist. All right, let's go to...
Why are you in such a hurry?
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Tom calling from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening. One of my gripes, and one of the things that I battle, is when I go to call up an office and I get, please listen carefully as our menu options have changed.
I'm sorry, Tom. If you'd like to be on the air, please press 3 now.
And please, to speak to an agent, say agent. They want me to navigate menus. They want me to babble to a robot. And instead, if it won't, I just wait for a person to answer. And if a person doesn't answer, that means they want me to call a different business. And sometimes, you know, if I'm straightening out a bill and they don't answer the phone, okay, they don't want the money, and they wind up incurring the cost of a collection agency.
Yeah, the next time, Tom, you encounter one of these, you can have a little bit of fun, and that is if you get drunk before you call, and you say something like, speak to an Asian, right? Sounds like you said speak to an Asian. You'll hear the automated voice go, okay, transferring you to an agent now.
Well, what I was thinking about would be hilarious is if somebody who takes a similar view of these machines that are installed in order to degrade and humiliate customers, what happened to be at the Save America rally, the so-called, and they went there because they're just in favor of gun rights. And then they hear all these speeches and they're horrified, and they're just plain shocked when they overhear conversations among the crowd on the way to the Capitol about the things they're planning to do. So let's say they try to call Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Rashida Tlaib. They have these kinds of systems on their congressional telephones.
I'm sorry, Tom, I have to stop you right there. I have to correct you. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I've been on good information. That's how the pronunciation is.
When you go, let's say they're calling up Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's office, and they get this menu and they don't want menus. They want to talk to a person, and a person doesn't pick up, and it disconnects them, and they say, okay, fine, be that way. It's trying to warn them about these crazy people that are on their way to storm the Capitol, and they can't warn them because, you configure your phone system not to answer the phone when the caller won't navigate menus. Hey, that would be hilarious, I think.
Yep. If you've had enough of government, press 5.
Wow. And our whole audience presses
call,
5 at the same time.
Yes, I have a bit of experience with these things. These phone systems are called IVRs, or Interactive Voice Response Systems.
And that's like your business. You are a professional.
I don't really want to talk about that. But,
okay.
But I do have some experience in this area with phone systems and such. And I can tell you that it is like literally impossible for these larger corporations. I'm thinking large internet providers, cable companies. I'm also thinking governments to employ enough people to actually answer the phone on, say, the 4th ring, for everybody who calls at any given point in space and time.
Yeah, because sometimes you just get thousands of calls, I would imagine.
Yeah.
If it's like that's the same way with running a server on the internet. You might have an hour when nobody connects to your server, and you might have another time when 10,000 people try to hit it at exactly the same time.
Yep. Now, to Tom's point, though, and again, having some experience in this field, most of them are not put together eloquently. Most of them are not put together in a way that treats the callers with respect. Most of them are not put together in a way that you would want to be treated if you were running that business.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, it's kind of irrational, because that's like saying that the menu of a computer program is disrespectful to you. You hear a voice and suddenly you expect the thing to be human, but it's not human. It's a machine.
Yeah.
And it's got buttons.
Yep.
Humans don't have those.
I called one and it said something like, say whatever it is, whatever topic you're calling about. And then you say what you're calling about and the voice goes, I can help with that, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
You call and you're like, yeah, I'd like instructions on how to change a muffler belt on a 72 Delta 88. I can help with that. No, you can't, because muffler belts aren't a thing, right?
Wow.
So, I mean, they are very programmed. Marketing people generally control the verbiage that's presented to you, or the personality. There's a little bit of art that goes into some of the voiceover stuff, where a person who does the voicing for one of these systems will record like this: 1, 2, 3. And then that way when you call in and you hear the voice sound weird, they go, you are caller number 5.
It's like a ransom note. They just use, pieces cut out of other things.
Yeah, different fonts, different sizes, different colors. Yes, it's exactly like a ransom note at that point. So, but the other point I wanted to make about these phone systems that I think goes right along with what Tom was getting at is that most of these companies don't care. You're so small and minute to them. You're $50 or $100 a month that you're paying them, whatever it is. The cable company, I'm guessing, the phone company for your cell phone, that type of thing. Like, you are just one of millions of customers. There's enough change that happens within the industry that they've already projected that they're going to lose you anyway to another company. But for every time you move from one company to another company, there's somebody from that company coming to their company that's dissatisfied with their service as well and tired of their IVR or their phone system. Yeah. And
of course, the fatalism of that is that you miss the case that when, if you do business with companies that are small enough that they actually are concerned about keeping all the customers that they have,
yes,
you're going to get much better service.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You
might pay a little more, but you're going to get much better service.
Yeah, but these large companies, you're just a number.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's to be expected, and that's actually vital to keeping the economy working, because if there were no diseconomies of scale, if there were only economies of scale, then you would get the leftist vision of what a free market will do, which is that every industry is dominated by one infinitely large competitor. But because of diseconomies of scale, because you get less efficient in some ways as you get larger, there will always, in most real markets, be several major competitors.
6032836160 is our number if you'd like to join us. We've got more Free Talk Live on the way.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. This is Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk radio program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you would like to talk about. Our telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. Again, the number 603-283-6160 if you want to join in the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And nobody.
And AnyPay 2.0 is here. And crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets aren't ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0, and reach out to those wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. And I can say for certain that I've used AnyPay as a consumer on many an occasion here in the New Hampshire area, and it is great. It is fast. I like it. The retailers also like it because it is fast. They get confirmations so quick. Those guys do an amazing job.
Yeah, it's a good product.
So we were going to talk about the state of California. This from the OCRegister.com. California lifts coronavirus stay-at-home orders and curfew statewide. The state will return to county-by-county regulations. Officials say Governor Newsom will address the issue later today. So I make up your mind. Lift it or don't. Don't be like, okay, well, we're going to lift it here, but like your local, ordinances still apply.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Local regulation is better than statewide regulation, is better than federal regulation, is better than international regulation, I would say. The bigger the jurisdiction, the worse the regulation becomes, because it becomes that much harder for dissenters to just be someplace else.
And I can say from all of these, we'll call them government oversteppings, mandates and such, the mask mandates, for example.
Who was that masked man?
We've seen here in New Hampshire where at first New Hampshire as a state didn't do anything as far as the masks were concerned. Folks were kind of wearing them. And then a few select areas in New Hampshire, the city of Keene, for example, a couple of other cities, we're like, okay, well, we're going to write a mask mandate for our specific city. And so they did, and they put that into place with no voting, of course. Nobody had any choice.
Yeah.
Not you.
Nobody didn't get a choice. They didn't ask me.
And so they put that in. So I was able to, for example, stop shopping at places in Keene.
Right.
Because I would just go to places outside of Keene where there was no mask mandate. I didn't have to wear one, and life was fine. Everything was hunky-dory, except for when I came to Keene, I was like, oh, gosh, I hate coming here when I have to buy something from, the Home Depot or whatever, something that only is here in Keene and not near, where I live, because I'm about a half hour outside.
And the problem with that sort of thing is there are storekeepers who are legitimately afraid of the Rona. They're actually afraid. And there are other storekeepers who have a sign up on their door that says they're afraid, more or less, but they're really not afraid. Now, given my choice, I want to shop with the guy who's not afraid.
Right.
Because I don't want to impose myself on somebody who doesn't want my business.
Right.
I want to do business with somebody who's going to go out of his way to keep my business. So I want to go to the store that wants me as a customer. But as soon as the law requires those people to lie to me, then I just go in whatever store is closest. And I ignore the rule because I don't regard it as a message from the property owner. I regard it as a message from the state, and screw them.
Right. And you make a good point, because they have muddied the waters. It's less possible for somebody to know what business aligns with your personal philosophies.
Yeah.
In this particular regard, because it's a blanket, one-size-fits-all situation mandate. One size fits all mandate. All stores must now require, and then they make these stores be the enforcement arm of these mandates.
Yeah, it's amazing that some poor 16-year-old kid hasn't gotten killed trying to enforce some of these ridiculous mandates. Right. Because, it's frightening when you go into 3 stores looking for food and none of them will serve you. It's like, well, I have to eat.
Yeah.
So this is not going to work out well for me if I can't find somebody who will sell me food without demanding that I violate my morals.
Right. Or even those who have, say, a medical exemption, for example. Those people get treated as if they are scum. Because
sometimes, some places, and that's the thing. That's how I know the difference sometimes between a storekeeper who wants my business despite my being non-masky and a storekeeper who doesn't want my business because I'm not wearing a mask. Is the latter one is more likely to tolerate his employees treating me like I have 3 heads, in which case I'm not going to go back to that store. I'm going to go someplace else.
Yep. Yeah, it certainly is something that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But California apparently lifted the regional stay-at-home orders across the state Monday in response to improving coronavirus conditions.
Yeah.
How did they evaluate that?
Well, they used tests that lie. I don't know. Maybe they told them to lie less. Maybe they, maybe they just did fewer iterations of the PCR, and so they found out things were improving.
They've returned the state to a system of county-by-county restrictions at this point. The order had been in place in the San Francisco Bay Area, San Joaquin Valley, and Southern California, covering the majority of the state's counties. The change will allow businesses such as restaurants to resume outdoor operations in many areas. In the middle of January when everybody loves to eat outdoors.
In parts of California, you can eat outdoors in January.
Well, right. Not Northern California.
Not in all of it.
Yeah. Though local officials could choose to continue stricter rules. The state is also lifting a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew.
Because, again, that virus is such a party animal. It's really out there at night. It's so excited. It wishes it could find people to party with.
Don't let your daughters out after 10 p.m. in California, or the Rona might corrupt them.
Don't let them out in D.C. or Biden might get them.
Oh, the sniffer. 603-283-6160. En route is more Free Talk Live.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way? You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Between Segment Discussion Live. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That was before now. Now it's Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. I say that because sometimes the discussion between segments is better than the actual segments themselves.
But if you want to hear it, you got to come to Keaton, New Hampshire.
Well,
and we don't have that much room in the studio.
And it is a freer version of Free Talk Live.
Well, the FCC
segments
doesn't F with our communications.
Right. That is true. And so we're more apt to have more open dialogue with, well, more cuss words, really. Let's just say what it is. Right?
Well, it's true.
We're able to sort of, speak like the truckers we are.
Yes. Although I was actually a cab driver, it's the same idea.
I drove a van, so I wasn't really a trucker.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have the CDL, so I guess that wouldn't really qualify as a trucker. What's that movie with? It's an old movie where
Convoy.
No, not Breaker 19, Rubber Duck. No, it's where it's like Harvey. Is it Harvey Keitel? It's the one. Oh, it's From Dusk Till Dawn, where like the family's traveling around in the camper, and they end up going to this what appears to be a biker bar that later turns out to be a bar full of vampires. But they walk in and it appears to be a biker bar, but no, it's really a trucker bar. And so there's words being said, and the guy says, well, you see that RV outside? I had to get a CDL and learn how to drive that. Technically, that makes me a trucker. And that somehow bought him the respect of the establishment.
Yeah. Well, sometimes if you can sometimes finding something in common with people is the best thing you can do. I saw a great segment of Saturday Night Live. It was Black Jeopardy, they called it, and it was an all-black version of Jeopardy with one white contestant on it in a Make America Great hat. And the thing is, he was the joke of the whole thing was his responses were like stereotypically black. And so, like when they talk about elections, he's like, oh, yeah, all that was decided months ago, and the black folks are like, yeah, how does he know that? White people aren't supposed to know that. And so it was really cool that, by the end of it, the guy who's playing the host is just like, well, we're just going to come back and play the national anthem just to see what happens.
So we've been talking about California lifting its stay-at-home orders and its curfew statewide, so that now if there is going to be curfews and stay-at-home orders and masking and all that stuff, it's going to be handled on a county-by-county basis, which apparently it is, because according to this article, the 3 largest counties in California all have their own restrictions in place. So this may not be as newsworthy as one would hope.
Well, it remains newsworthy for the people who aren't in those 3 largest counties, or even for people who can escape those 3 largest counties and do their shopping in the next county over.
Yeah. This says,
instead of having to drive to, Vegas to shop.
This says, together we changed our activities knowing our short-term sacrifices would lead to longer-term gains.
Yeah, there's no reason to believe that. There's been no scientific studies that show that shutdowns are better in the long run than not having shutdowns.
In fact, there's been studies done that say the exact opposite of that.
Isn't that interesting?
COVID-19.
But if you don't obey the shutdown, you hate science.
Yes, that's right.
Because you've actually read the studies.
It goes on to say, COVID-19 is still here, it's still deadly, so our work is not over, but it's important to recognize our collective actions saved lives, and we're turning a crucial corner.
We don't know that. Again, you're pulling that directly out of your rectal region, sir. You don't know that.
That was Dr. Thomas Aragon, the state's public health director, who said that in a statement.
Yeah, see, first he was a doctor, and I thought, well, maybe he does know something, but then it turns out he's actually a bureaucrat, so probably not. If he could make patients happy, he'd make more money as a doctor.
Governor Gavin Newsom was, because that's what he does, right? It's like, oh, you want freedom? No, son.
There you go.
Governor Gavin Newsom was expected to address the public later Monday. Public officials in some of California's major cities and counties indicated they could soon lift local restrictions, too. We will be moving forward with some limited reopenings, including outdoor dining and personal services, San Francisco Mayor London Breed said in a tweet.
Oh, God, I need some personal services.
Also, who names their kid London Breed?
London Breed?
Yeah, like just as it sounds.
That's
First
definitely
London,
a funky name.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that people frequently who make news have like completely unique names that you never would have imagined? Like, what was it? The Reality Winner is one that sticks in the head. Somebody made news named Reality Winner. And it almost, I can imagine the guys in the CIA writing these stories and being like, well, we don't want to give it a give that character a name that somebody actually has, so let's name him Reality Winner.
Right. Yeah, I notice that sometimes in these stories, people's names, especially if they stand out, rarely do you ever see somebody authoring one of these articles that's named like Bob Smith, like something super common. But going on, Orange County planned to lift some restrictions as well, said Jessica Good, a spokesperson for that county's health agency. In Los Angeles County, home to 10 million people, Republican Supervisor Catherine Barger expressed support for opening outdoor dining, personal care services, and other industries, and said the state must balance public health with devastating social, emotional, and economic impacts of the virus.
Isn't it nice that that stuff matters now that Donald Trump is out of office?
They must balance it.
Because none of those things mattered just a short couple of weeks ago.
What matters to these people is that they control it now. They've taken away your right to transact freely, to gather as you freely wish to do, and now they're giving it back to you only under the auspices of their personal control.
Yeah.
I don't know if auspices was the right word there, but you get what I'm saying.
Wow, yeah, that's a 50-cent word.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll try to dumb it down, keep it low for you.
Well, I mean, the thing is, 50-cent word is not nearly as expensive as it used to be. That's what my fourth grade teacher told me not to use. So at this point, I think it has to be a $2 word before you've got a problem.
Yeah, you got to account for inflation.
It's true.
50-cent word back in, well, pre-1913 anyway. Today would be, like $300 or something?
A 50-cent word?
Yeah.
Well, the dollar
before the Fed?
since the creation of the Federal Reserve, the dollar has lost, 2 years ago, it had lost 96% of its value. So what you could buy with a dollar in 1913, or with 4 cents in 1913, would now cost you $1.
Okay. So 50 cents then would be...
So like a candy bar would be a nickel back then, and now it's over $1. And it is.
How much would a 50-cent piece then versus now?
Well, they used silver pieces, 50-cent pieces then, so one of the ones that they passed is going to be worth about, I guess, $50 now. I don't know if they used $50 then.
There you have it, $50 now. 603-283-6160. Soon there will be more Free Talk Live in your ears.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
That's the horrible air drumming sound.
Yeah, it sounds like you're speaking mock Dutch.
Mock
like
Dutch?
the Swedish chef on the Muppet Show. Yeah, that's the guy. And that is our tribute to the Holland protesters who mostly peacefully burned down the COVID testing center. Kudos.
Mostly peacefully. 603-283-6160 is our phone number if you'd like to join the conversation. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night version. It's the old graybeard edition, starring me, the captain, and
nobody.
We've been talking about this article from OC Register stating that California has lifted its stay-at-home mandate, I guess, as well as the curfew. So basically, they said martial law is sort of coming to an end at the state level. Now we'll just allow it to be a regional martial law.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if martial is the word you're looking for, because martial law is actually law enforced by the military, and I don't think they deployed the military there to do that.
Well, I mean, as militarized as the police have become.
Well, okay, yeah, they certainly do.
They qualify as a standing army in my book.
The difference.
They qualify as a standing army, and if anybody has enough of these micro tyrants to be considered an army, it's probably California.
New York City also.
New York City, I know.
New York City actually has its own foreign policy. Yeah. Did you know that they have, like, the New York City Police Department actually has a substation in Israel? They have their own foreign policy.
What? That makes no.
Isn't it strange? Well, it is the Empire State. Maybe they're forming an empire.
Yeah. Isn't that redundant? The Empire State?
Well, you know, I would say New Hampshire is a lot less imperial than the New York government. So
but
we're the live free or die state, and they're the Empire State.
Yeah. Going back to the article, under the system, a multi-county region had to shut down most businesses and order people to stay at home if ICU capacity dropped below 15%. An 11-county Northern California region was never under the order.
Now,
And the
of
Greater
course,
Sacramento
it's
region.
interesting that practically what that means is they put in more restrictions, so more people drive further to get services, and so that gives them a perfect opportunity, if they actually have something, to spread it somewhere it isn't already prevalent.
Here's something that I continue to hate about government. It's always the condescending way in which they present information to you. For example, post 9/11, or immediately after 9/11, the TSA came up with that little color-coded danger chart, right? It reminds me of the...
Has it ever been anything but orange?
Yeah, I don't know. It reminds me of the Smokey the Bear fire danger. Like when you go out into the forest, it'll say fire danger low, medium, high, right? You know, it reminds me exactly of that. Right. And I'm sure that's where they got it from. And so the TSA had one about the terrorism threat. How threatening is it? You know, is it blue? Is it orange? Is it red? Is it purple? You know, that type of thing. So regarding California and their coronavirus stay-at-home order and their curfews, the state developed a system of color-coded tiers that dictated the level of restrictions on businesses and individuals based on virus conditions in each of California's 58 counties.
Wow.
Why? Okay, everybody, just so you understand, blue means you can't do anything and go anywhere and visit anybody for any reason whatsoever. I don't know what the colors
Usually
were.
that's red.
Yeah, sure, fine. Yellow means go very fast. Oh, wait, no, that's traffic law. Sorry, my bad.
And that's from Starman.
It is from Starman.
Yeah.
Red means stop.
Yes.
Green means go. Yellow means go very fast.
Yeah. I watched you very carefully.
The fact that they feel like they did something because they created a multicolor-coded tiers that dictate the level of restrictions.
Wow.
It's just,
It
really,
makes you want to cry multicolored tears, doesn't it?
Most counties will now go back to the most restrictive purple tier because they've just about choked you out. That's when you turn purple, right? When you're getting choked out, just about before you die, you turn all sorts of purple.
Yeah.
Most counties will now go back to the most restrictive purple tier, which allows for outdoor dining, hair and nail salons to be open, and outdoor church services. Bars that only serve beverages cannot be open.
Wow.
I'm telling you, the Rona is a party animal.
It is. They want it out of there, and so they're not going to let anybody party till they know they're not partying with that party animal virus.
You know, viruses...
I hear the virus loves cocaine, too.
Ooh.
Which leads to maybe that's how you kill it.
I am so more than frustrated with all of this hyperbole, this gyrations of statists for no reason.
Medical theater.
Viruses are going to come and go. It's a fact of human beings, right? It's a fact of human life. It's just going to happen. But I tell you what, government is never going to forget how easy it was to close down all of your entertainment, all of your religions, and take away all of your freedom to travel.
And take all the joy out of life, basically. Yeah. I mean, the only reason to be alive at this point is things might be better in the future, because there's certainly not much point now.
Well, and to fight for that.
Yeah.
You know, be that type of be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
So the county by county tier system uses various metrics to determine the risk of community transmission and apply a color code: purple, red, orange, or yellow, which corresponds to widespread, substantial, moderate, and minimal, respectively. Panic. Why don't they just have a heat map on Google? Why don't they just overlay a heat map on Google with these color codes and be done with it?
They could do that.
Yeah. As of the weekend, California has had more than 3.1 million confirmed COVID-19 cases and zero flu. It doesn't
And
say
what?
that. Zero flu. It doesn't say that in the article. I'm making an editorial statement.
Is that one of the states where the flu deaths have dropped to zero?
No, actually, it was Washington State where it was before the first of the year. The month of December. 0 flu cases, which has never happened in recorded history. Well, at least recorded flu history, anyway. So a bunch of cases and a bunch of statists trying to make themselves
look useful,
more useful than they actually are.
I mean,
make themselves look more useful than they actually are to you, anyway.
Yeah,
get you to believe that crap.
Well, I mean, if they looked as useless as they actually are, I mean, people would shoot them on sight.
I used to have a thing about what they're going to do about the ugliness of government, and by that I meant, I'm trying to remember what it was. I used to rail on how ugly everybody in government is.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the health minister from Europe, the one who's, oh my God, is just the most horrible human being I've ever seen.
Do as I say, not as I do.
It's like, I'm not taking health advice from this woman. I mean, she's broken. She's clearly completely broken.
I mean, to that point, when exactly did government become your doctor? When exactly did government be the entity that's going to dish out cures?
Yeah, I mean,
viruses.
Usually they're in the business of killing people.
Yeah.
Or at least ruining their lives.
But all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, the government's my doctor now. Every human body is different from every other human body.
And government has nothing but one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah. And so to allow such a behemoth, a mega
Are we back to that
corporation.
health minister from Europe again? Because you said behemoth.
To allow such an institution as government to be the doctor of entire countries, if not the world.
Yeah, an organization that just generally kills people.
It's the most ridiculous thing, I think, at least to date. I'm sure it'll get more. We have not reached peakdom. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is a Fox News alert. The process has begun. I'm Lisa Lacera.
I announce the presence of the managers on the part of the House of Representatives to conduct proceedings on behalf of the House concerning the impeachment of Donald John Trump, former President of the United States.
For the second time in 2 years, senators are considering whether to convict Donald Trump.
Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanor.
Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin is one of the impeachment managers. The single article, incitement of insurrection. The former president is accused of provoking the crowd who gathered to hear him speak in Washington January 6th to storm the Capitol building. The trial begins next month. President Biden has spoken with a bipartisan group of senators as he tries to push the latest White House coronavirus relief bill.
President Biden is facing pushback from Republican leaders over a $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan.
The new administration's first draft of their sprawling proposal misses the mark.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has pushed for a more targeted relief measure. The president says he's optimistic he'll find consensus on the action required.
Whether we get it all done exactly the way I want it remains to be seen. But I'm confident that we can work our way through. We have to work our way through.
Some Democrats are suggesting a legislative tool known as reconciliation, a budget process that would avoid the 60-vote filibuster-proof majority. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The president signed another round of executive orders today. One requires the federal government to buy American. Another repeals President Trump's ban on transgender persons serving in the military. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office. 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
A longtime Republican senator announces he will not seek re-election.
His political career spanned decades, though at 65, Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman announces that he's tapping out of politics and will not seek re-election. In the 2022 midterms, Portman, who serves on the Senate Finance, Homeland Security, and Foreign Relations committees, writing in part as a reason that he won't seek a third term, that it's gotten harder and harder to break through the partisan gridlock and make progress on policy. The Senate is split 50-50 between both parties, with the GOP defending 20 of the 34 seats up for grabs in 2 years. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Former Trump Secretary Sarah Sanders has officially announced she's running for governor of Arkansas. The daughter of former Governor Mike Huckabee had been widely expected to run for the office after leaving the White House, and former President Trump publicly encouraged her to run. China ramped up its pressure campaign against Taiwan, with fighters and bombers approaching the island over the weekend in what seemed to be a test of the new Biden administration.
The provocative escalation prompted the administration's first public remarks on its relationship with Taiwan. The State Department said, quote, "We urge Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic and economic pressure against Taiwan and instead engage in meaningful dialogue with Taiwan's democratically elected representatives." 15 Chinese aircraft entered the Taiwanese defense zone yesterday, just a day after 12 other warplanes, including 8 nuclear-capable bombers.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Today's most popular video games take place in dangerous post-apocalyptic landscapes. But are these games doing enough to prepare our kids for the actual post-apocalyptic future we will all soon face?
Well, I think these games are quite effective at teaching our kids skills like finding shotgun ammo and leading elite squads of super soldiers.
But these aren't the advanced skills that they're going to need. They're going to need the more practical skills like how to find drinking water by collecting the morning dew in human skulls.
Or how to deal with depression when the sun is blocked out for 500 years by a cloud of radioactive dust.
Absolutely. Now, that's the type of knowledge these kids are going to need when their world has been turned into a brutal hellscape.
But these kids said that they know how to find items to barter at weapon shops and how to use medicine packs to heal zombie bites.
The games make it all seem deceptively simple. I mean, in the future, a kid's not going to be able to kill a 6-foot-long irradiated beetle just by pressing a few buttons, and he's going to have to get down there with an axe and hack and hack and hack.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live. Into the third hour now of tonight's program. If you'd like to join in and talk about whatever's on your mind, you can give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it is me, your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And nobody.
And we're going to change gears a little bit here. There's, we talked about at the top of the show that there's a little something going on in the dark nether regions of politics in the United States of America. They're attempting to frame up something known as a domestic terrorism bill. Now, no, this is not how much they're going to charge you for all the terrorism that they've been committing upon the domestic people.
No, they don't. They're not that honest.
Nope.
Nobody tells the truth in politics.
This is a matter of fact. So there is something going on. And a politician named Tulsi Gabbard has apparently at least breezed through this stuff. And she says that, well, according to this draft of this domestic terrorism bill, half the country's a terrorist.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's half of the country, but the government is certainly very large.
To be fair, she says almost half the country.
Okay.
The headline actually reads, Tulsi Gabbard, domestic terrorism bill is targeting almost half of the country. This is from Yahoo News, National Review, by Brittany Bernstein, not to be confused with Berenstein or Bernstein.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we all know from the, what is it called?
It's the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, thank you. Tulsi Gabbard, the former Democrat representative from Hawaii, on Friday expressed concern that a proposed measure to combat domestic terrorism could be used to undermine civil liberties.
Oh my gosh. That's the plan.
Name something government has done that does not undermine civil liberties.
Well, some of them die occasionally. That doesn't do any harm to my civil liberties. But when they're alive, yeah, they tend to harm it.
Indeed. Gabbard's comments came during an appearance on Fox News Primetime when host Brian Kilmeade, or Kilmeade, or killing his career anyway, asked her if she was surprised they're pushing forward with this extra surveillance on would-be domestic terror.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I pay attention to the news, and by that I mean somewhat mainstream media news because, well, we do this. But
well, it's good to know what your neighbors think, even if you don't believe it.
But not only have I not seen domestic terrorism, but I've seen a reduction in all of the things that might have been construed as terrorism since the COVID lockdowns. The only terrorism going on is terrorism by governance.
Yeah, well, the government trying to terrify the population about COVID, which, if you look back in history, that's not how government behaves when there's an actual major epidemic going on, because what they're really worried about then is a panic.
Right.
And
and losing
like
their
they're
tax
trying
base.
to cause a panic.
Right. If too many people die, that puts a little damper on the old pocketbook, right? Because they lose their tax base. So Gabbard's comments came during an appearance on Fox News. We said that. It's so dangerous, as you guys have been talking about. This is an issue that all Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, etc. should be extremely concerned about, especially because we don't have to guess about where this goes or how this ends, Gabbard said.
Yeah. And anything, if you allow violations of your enemy's civil rights, sooner or later those will become violations of your civil rights.
Absolutely.
And a
great
object
point.
lesson in that is that Facebook has now kicked off the Wobblies, the International Workers of the World, the Workers Socialist whatever party.
Right.
They're using it on the left as well.
They're trying to be.
They want silenced, they can silence now.
Right. They're trying to be equal opportunity tyrants.
Well, they're trying to be equal opportunity for anybody who disagrees with them, in that they want them all silenced, and they also want to make sure that the speech that they agree with gets magnified as much as possible.
Silence!
I cue you!
Gabbard continued. When you have people like former CIA Director John Brennan openly talking about how he's spoken with or heard from appointees and nominees in the Biden administration who are already starting to look across our country for these type of movements similar to the insurgencies they've seen overseas, that, in his words, he says, make up this unholy alliance of religious extremists, racists, bigots. He lists a few others, and at the end, yes, even libertarians.
Because leaving you alone is just like totalitarianism.
What was the old libertarian motto? We want to take over your government,
and leave it alone,
and leave you alone. That's right.
Yep.
She said her concern lies in how officials will define the characteristics they are searching for in potential threats. What characteristics are we looking for as we build this profile of a potential extremist? What are we talking about? Religious extremists? Are we talking about Christians? Evangelical Christians? What is a religious extremist? Is it somebody who is pro-life? Where do you take this, Gabbard said. She said the proposed legislation could create a very dangerous undermining of our civil liberties, our freedoms in our Constitution, and a targeting of almost half of the country.
But you still have freedom of speech if you can say exactly what we tell you to say, right?
Next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away.
Yeah.
She continues, you start looking at obviously have to be a white person, obviously likely male, libertarians, anyone who loves freedom, liberty, maybe has an American flag outside their house, or people who, attended a Trump rally, Gabbard said. Mm-hmm. The Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2021, first of all, this prevented no terrorism.
Yes.
And this sounds a lot like pre-crime.
It is terrorism.
This sounds a lot like pre-crime. Right, listen to the title of this. The Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2021 was introduced in the House earlier this week in the aftermath of rioting
Have you seen
at the U.S. Capitol.
Onion video that is the Ocular Penetration Prevention Act of...
No.
Oh, God, I got to show that to you sometime.
Sounds like something I need to witness with my own eyeballs.
Yes. If they don't get penetrated out of your head.
Right. She continues, unlike after 9/11, the threat that reared its ugly head on January 6th is from domestic terror groups and extremists, often racially motivated and violent individuals. Oh, no, that wasn't her. This was Representative Brad Schneider who said this.
Yeah.
So he's basically...
And of course, they just call anybody a racist that they want to call a racist. You don't have to actually hate people of other races to be a racist in America.
Right. You could just be a fan of racing.
You could just disagree with the government. I mean, the leaps that people make are amazing. I was campaigning for Aria DiMaggio, who's anything but a Trump supporter,
right,
anything but a conservative, and yet I would have people say, well, she doesn't wear a mask, so she must be a Trump supporter. What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. It is. I don't know if it's obvious to the listeners, but it's obviously obvious to me that the real terrorist in this situation is the gang of thugs known as government.
The government is the terrorist, always has been.
They fit the definition in every way, shape, or form.
They use violence to achieve political ends.
They use violence to gain your compliance.
And they work in fear.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is inexpensive conversation right now. Haha, he laughed. He thought it was funny. Also known as Free Talk Live.
It's true.
I guess free isn't really inexpensive.
Well, not when you're talking about medical care.
Talk is conversation.
Free medical care can be the most expensive thing you ever get.
Sure enough. You ain't lying.
It's true.
You'd be telling truth. It is.
I always wonder. I mean, people in I've seen people interviewed at Black Lives Matter rallies saying they want the government to provide health care, and I'm thinking, what makes you think that black people are going to get any better health care from the government than they get law enforcement from the government? You know, how many people is that going to kill?
Look at all of the at the well-managed and very efficient operations that government has put forth during its existence. There aren't any.
Yeah.
And now go, I think these guys should provide my health care.
Yeah. Because that way they can kill me without anybody asking questions.
If you're wondering what the heck you're listening to, it is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself.
And nobody.
And I want to tell you that you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Forkfest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge.
Nobody.
Not nobody, no one.
Oh.
That's right. Not even you are in charge, nobody. That also means there's no ticket cost.
Just party then.
Well, you'll be free to party, of course.
It's true.
Yes. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you are planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or in the Forkfest forum. Links to those can be found on the unofficial website forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
And if you come to Forkfest and you don't want to leave, we understand and we don't mind.
That has happened to more than one person.
It has happened many times.
Yes. I got there, and when I got there, I only got there for the last 4 days last year, and when it was over, I still didn't want to go, but I did anyway, because, responsibilities.
And you didn't even have to leave the state, so.
It's true.
You're still kind of soaking in it.
Madge, you're soaking in it. I've got my hand in some palm olive right now. No, that's not true. I don't.
I don't blame you.
Going into the Wayback Machine there for that one. If you watched commercials as a child and you're over 40, you might have some idea what I'm talking about. Maybe as low as 35, maybe. Probably not. Probably not.
I don't know.
Anyway, we've been talking about this article from Yahoo News that, well, apparently half of the country are domestic terrorists. At least according to this proposed legislation, in the opinion of Tulsi Gabbard. Anyway. And she says, America must be vigilant. Wait, no, is this her saying this? No, this is him. So this guy, Brad Schneider, who's a Democrat from Illinois, he said, America must be vigilant to combat those radicalized to violence. And the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act gives our government the tools to identify, monitor, and thwart their illegal activities. Combating the threat of domestic terrorism and white supremacy is not a Democratic or Republican issue, not left versus right or urban versus rural. Domestic terrorism is an American issue, a serious threat that we can and must address together, he said.
Well, I think we should do that, and I think we should start with the drug war, which is clearly a huge act of domestic terrorism against drug users who aren't harming anybody except possibly themselves. And yet you have the government radicalizing these police to do violence against harmless drug users through the war on drugs, and I think this needs to stop. I think we should try the politicians who are responsible for it in the at The Hague, and we should hang them by the neck until dead for crimes against humanity.
I just wanted to look it up one more time because, you know, every now and again you look up a word and then you look it up again later and the definition has changed. Sometimes it depends on the dictionary you're going to. But this definition of terrorism now says, it used to just say, the use of violence or intimidation in pursuit of political aims.
Right.
But now it says, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. So the difference between terrorism and not terrorism is whether or not it's written into law.
Yeah, which is, wow. That's
so if I just write down some words on a piece of paper and say, yep, these are the actions I'm taking. This is my own personal law. Does that make it not terrorism?
Wow. And, you know, it kind of reminds me of the whole... you know, people will tell me that black folks commit more crimes than white folks. And I say, well, part of the reason for that is a large proportion of the crimes committed by white folks are committed by the U.S. government or under the command of the U.S. government, and therefore not considered to be crimes. You know,
government as an organization type is the biggest and largest at almost everything bad.
Yeah. It is the corporation that has a license to kill, and the one corporation that's permitted to force you at gunpoint to buy their product, even if it sucks.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So murder, government, largest murderer.
Yeah.
Right?
Kidnapping, certainly.
Kidnapping,
What percentage of the kidnappings in America are... of peaceful people are carried out by the government. You have to consider every drug war arrest, every prostitution arrest. Those are nothing but kidnapping because those people weren't hurting anybody.
Yep. Or even when police are, we'll call it investigating something, and they detain somebody to try and, get information from them, right? That's still kidnapping.
Yeah.
How about rape? Is government the largest rapist? I'm under the impression that most rapes actually do occur in prison under the watch of government.
Yes, and actually men are more likely to be raped than women, but 99% of rapes of male occurs in prison.
So the biggest and largest at almost everything bad. The organization type government.
Wow, we should let them do the most important things in society so we're sure that they get done horribly.
We should certainly put them in charge of healthcare ASAP.
Oh, yes, and education.
And that, we know how that's gone. 603-283-6160. More of us soon.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Despite being objectively awful people, newly engaged couple Ross Bird and Jessica Black want their upcoming wedding to really reflect their personalities.
We're pulling out all the stops to have a kind of wedding that just screams us.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bluegrass band playing 80s pop songs. Because Ross loves bluegrass, but I love 80s music.
And then at the end of the ceremony, this is great, we're going to pass out sparklers to all the guests.
Sources claim that a bunch of candles in mason jars and an Instagram photo booth will truly capture the essence of the insufferable pair.
We didn't want some big, stuffy ceremony.
Yeah,
It should feel more like a fun dance party for our friends.
Because the night's about us, yes, but I mean, it's also, about the people who make us, us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And those people love us exactly for our uniqueness.
Sources hoped with every fiber of their being that these two would be divorced within a year.
This is the Onion News Network.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live, the live Monday night edition. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160 if you want to try and join in. We've got a few calls on hold. We'll get to those momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And nobody.
And we were just finishing up this article from Yahoo News. Half the country is a terrorist, apparently. And while we did get through the article...
Those are rookie numbers. We got to get those numbers up.
Right. We did get through the article. We were talking about how government is the largest violator of, well, all the bad things. Right?
Mm.
They're the biggest thief. They steal the most money.
Mm.
Rape is committed at an alarming rate in government institutions. What else? Rape. What about physical, like beating people up and stuff?
Yep. They got a lot of beating people up going on.
I mean, at least we know the police force does.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
A lot of police brutality. A lot of people getting harmed because of things that government did tangentially, like the war on drugs certainly causes a lot of crime.
Tangentiles? Does that mean Gentiles go to tanning booths?
Tangentiles are people who were momentarily Jewish but then moved on.
Oh, interesting. On that note, let's go to some of your calls and your thoughts. We have Rod calling from West Virginia. Rod, you are on Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your program. I haven't heard anything about it. Perhaps I wasn't listening at the right time on any programs, but when Mike Pence, Vice President, signed and certified the election for president, and it was abundantly clear in several states that massive voting fraud had gone on. I don't understand how he could have certified that. To me, that was a betrayal of the president. I was wondering what your all's thoughts were on this.
Well, I mean, the president certainly betrayed me in that he was supposed to be in the business of defending my rights. It is, as in the Declaration of Independence, it says it is to secure these rights that governments are instituted amongst men. So I can say that I'm paralyzed by not caring very much, but certainly he did go along with what I think was a lie, which is that the presidential election is or ever has been fair.
Yeah, I'm with you on that in the respect that my opinion, Rod, is this. All government elections are fraudulent because government exists in violation of consent. And so, therefore, it doesn't matter if there's just a little fraud or a whole bunch of fraud. They're all fraudulent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic and Republican parties, for example, have cooperated to make sure that they are the only game in town. So they have disenfranchised everybody who is not a Democrat or a Republican, and few people would identify with either the Democratic or Republican parties. Both of their platforms are horrors, except that they're the only parties that are allowed to participate.
Your thoughts, Rod?
Well, I'm still open for learning, I certainly appreciate your comments on it, but it's just hard for me to understand. It's just seems to me that Mike Pence was not the president's friend when he signed that, certified the election. But I'm open for good reasoning like your show presents, and I want to thank you for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling, Randy.
I always thought that Pence was the establishment man in that administration, that he was the guy who was probably tasked with shooting Trump if Trump got out of hand.
Yeah, and Rod, if you're still listening, please continue to ask questions, particularly when it comes to what is government doing and why and how, all the 5 W's and the 1 H or whatever it is, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Continue to ask questions. And I think you will eventually come around to some of the understandings that we've come around to here on Free Talk Live.
Never be afraid to ask questions. Everybody came from someplace else.
So thanks for the call, Rod. Moving right along, let's go to Randy, who's calling from Arkansas. Randy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good. What's on your mind?
There are certain things about a person's personality can identify them as practicing vengeance, domination, and that goes against the Bible.
Okay.
And vengeance and domination can be vexatious to the spirit being a godly mind of reason. And they can make you mentally and physically ill, or dead.
Okay.
And if the police can identify those characteristics of the personalities, they can send them to a mental health center.
So we're talking about identifying characteristics of personalities to send people away. I mean, that doesn't seem like something that I would like for any agency to do. We're talking. That sounds like pre-crime to me. You want to institutionalize people for personality traits because they might do something?
I think they should be medicated to make it a better society.
What if
they
people
don't have to take them away? They can just give them a ticket to go to a mental health center.
What if people wanted to medicate religious nuts because they were,
they're
concerned
not
that the
nuts.
overly
They just,
religious were?
There's one quote by Gustavus from 800 AD that says, "The ego is the spirit of the devil." And there's another quote.
There's also a quote from
it.
Ayn Rand in Anthem that says, "Of all the words I know, only one is holy, and that is ego." So you're going to find some disagreement on that point. And the question is, who should decide who should be criminalized based on that? Should the Ayn Rand believers be criminalized, or should either side criminalize the other side when they have the power to do so?
Well, they're not going to be criminalized. They're just going to be corrected.
Yeah, but the thing is, then you have to have a ministry of truth to determine who is correct and who is incorrect. And, that's going to depend on who's in control of it. If the atheists are in control of the ministry of truth, they're going to decide that the Christians are incorrect. But if the Christians are in charge of the ministry of truth...
Dead, do you?
I'm sorry, say again, Randy?
You don't want people retaliated against dead, do you? Or maimed?
Retaliating against Maine? For Stephen King?
No, you don't want the people that are practicing vengeance to kill or maim other people, do you?
Oh, kill or maim.
Kill or maim. Oh.
Maim, M-A-I-M.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I certainly don't want people being killed or maimed. I also don't want them herded into camps for having ideas that differ from either the majority or from the minority. I think people should be able to believe
personality traits. I mean, so Randy, what if the majority of the people determined that you have one of these personality traits, and it's you, Randy, who gets to involuntarily be medicated?
I've already been medicated.
I was medicated before I called you tonight. Thanks for the call, Randy. I'm already medicated.
Yeah. Wow.
Well.
And I wonder what medication they have to give you to make you want the government to control everybody's thinking. I don't know how that happens.
603-283-6160. Coming up, more Free Talk Live.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And nobody.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. It's the final countdown, man.
It's the final countdown.
Right.
Oh, you were just reminded me of, what was that show where they used that? The guy was a musician, and he used that as an intro. It was the same people who did Archer, like some of the same actors.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, very funny show.
All right, well, when you think of it, let us know.
Okay, I'll do that.
While you're thinking about that, I need to take a minute and say a big thank you to Nathan Benson. Nathan Benson is a silver level amplifier. What does that mean? That means Nathan contributes $5 a month to Free Talk Live in order to help us get this radio program on more radio stations. We're currently over 190 stations. We could be on 200. We could be on 250. It's all up to you. You can find out more at amp.freetalklive.com. We only ask for $5 a month. You can give more. If you do, there's different levels of perks and little things that you get for donating the amounts of money. Yeah, not Percocets, but Perks.
Oh, okay, those perks.
We're cost way more than $5 a month, pal.
Yeah,
we'd have a lot more. We'd have a lot more amplifiers too.
Yeah,
they'd really be amped, or no, they wouldn't.
No, they'd be disamped.
They'd be disamped.
Yep.
They'd be attenuated.
Indeed,
they would be attenuated. All right, so anyway, thank you to Nathan Benson. We appreciate your contribution. Again, visit amp.freetalklive.com. Consider becoming an amplifier of the program. Let's go straight away to your calls and thoughts. We've got David calling from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
I just want to add to your list did you get on your list of things that government does? What's the proper title for your list again?
Biggest, most.
Biggest, most?
Yeah, like the government
you need
is
more words.
Biggest, most. They're basically government is the most biggest violator of all the bad things.
Okay,
well,
so
they frequently violate good things.
Child trafficker.
Oh, yes. They do more child trafficking probably than any other single
Can you
organization
elaborate on
Earth.
that, David?
Yeah, well, through the your court systems and the different actions that government does, whether the child protective services people that come into homes and abduct children based on something that somebody said somewhere, and then after they've abducted your children, then you can go to court and see if you can ever see them again, that was not my situation. CPS was never involved in my case, even though I tried to get them involved when I was still ignorant.
Yeah.
And then your traditional dissolution of marriage with children, where one spouse
I love that show.
Goes and files for custody, and then you fight over that forever and ever, and the judge will issue an order saying where the children go and who the children are going to see and not going to see and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can say, having been in and then out of the government system as a child, and this includes foster care as well as in and out of family court repeatedly, that it's a horrifying situation. And thank you for the call tonight, David. We appreciate it. The last thing government needs to be in charge of is children.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that are harder to mess up.
Yeah. Moving right along, let's go to Pepsi calling from the Bronx. Pepsi, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Pepsi.
I just wanted to say that the guy that called a couple of minutes ago, Rod, who was obviously a Trump supporter, but no, I like to give him a thumbs up because even though he felt that Trump was abandoned and, by Pence, he still had an open mind, you know what I mean, to be able to listen to the other options that you guys present, So I just like to say, if Rod's listening, that I give him a thumbs up and a well done for just being, able to just, consider other options.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it is real easy to just sort of close up your mind and not consider what's possible. Folks have asked me from time to time, why did I end up here, where I'm at politically and philosophically? And it's because of my ability to retain my imagination. I'm able to set whatever my beliefs are aside and imagine if I didn't have them for a minute, what would I think, and put myself in other people's shoes and keep that open mind. You're absolutely correct.
And if you don't have an open mind, then you're just going to be stuck in the same place mentally for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You have to evolve, and grow.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else?
No, I just like to say thank you guys for doing a great job, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for the call, Pepsi.
Thank you, Pepsi. Yeah, they say in AA...
I wonder if he's getting paid by Pepsi to call in with that name or something. You know what I mean?
Huh?
I wonder if he's getting paid by Pepsi to, call in and be like, my name is Pepsi.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Okay. Anyway, you were going to say...
Maybe possible, but... Yeah, they say in AA, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And so if you don't like what you're getting, change what you're doing.
Right.
I definitely salute anybody who has some flexibility. I've been all over the map politically. I've been all over the left half of the map.
Okay.
In that I started out as more or less a socialist, and then I went through being a Democrat, and then I became a libertarian, and I never really moved on to the right half of the spectrum, because there were things about that I never liked from the beginning, but I've always been willing to look at things and say, oh, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe
I think
just took the wrong position.
My observation of you is just that, as somebody who's in technology, has been a programmer, is a programmer, that you have the ability to facilitate logic, right?
Yeah.
And so you're able to think things through with the perspective of logic instead of the perspective of belief.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what helps you out. For me, when I observe common folk, if you will, and by that I just mean people around me daily,
normal people,
regular people.
In AA, they call them Earth people.
The Earthlings.
Yeah, non-alcoholics. They call them. They say, "Yeah, well, I run into Earth people," and they're like, "Blah blah blah."
When I observe Earth people, it seems to me that their political opinion is always situational specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if some politician is clamoring for, a higher minimum wage, which we're hearing again, $15 an hour, right? Minimum wage. They're like, well, I'm not making minimum. I'm not making 50. Yeah, I want a better wage, right? For the same crappy job that they're doing or whatever, right? That they find themselves in. Or healthcare. Yeah, I don't have healthcare. If government paid for healthcare, that'd be great for me, right? It's always to the individual, to the ego of the individual. That where their politics begin to lie or are redirected instead of having the ability to think it through on a macro level, which I think is probably the difference between the majority of people in the United States of America and libertarians, for example, or anarchists or folks of the freedom mind. Is that they're able to more rationally think things through and look at things at a macro level and see how X affects Y and you get the outcome of this instead of just thinking about it at a personal level. Oh, that means to be better for me.
Well, and that's, of course, the beauty of a capitalist structure is that if free markets is... If in a free market I want to benefit myself, I have to do that by giving other people what they want. And that's how I get what I want. So the market doesn't have to change my nature to make me beneficial to others. Whereas if people want me to be a good socialist voter, a voter who thinks of everybody before he votes, then they're going to have to change the essence of what evolution made me. Yeah. Because evolution made me an individual who wants to survive. And if my shortest route to survival is helping others, then so much the better.
Yeah, that is true, and excellent points all the way around. It is the only system which allows you to not only enhance your life, but enhance other people's lives and create win-win situations.
Yeah.
We are out of time. Catch us 7 days a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, or find our archives at freetalklive.com. Peace.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com.